You think you know this world. Every day you walk down the streets, see houses, cars, people. But behind this familiar picture lies something much stranger than you can imagine. The planet we live on is full of mysteries, phenomena that sometimes seem like science fiction, and things that scientists still argue about. Today, I will take you on a journey through 10 incredible phenomena of our Earth. Phenomena that will make you look at the world in a new way, sometimes with surprise, sometimes with slight fear, and sometimes with a feeling of deep delight. Are you ready? Then let's go. Let's start with forests. Have you ever thought that trees can talk to each other? Not with words, of course, but through amazing underground networks of fungi. Scientists call this network the Wood Wide Web, and it's not just a pretty name. Imagine that each root system is connected to fungi that act like a cable or internet network. When one tree is attacked by insects, it can send a signal to other trees to activate their chemical defenses in advance. One oak tree in Germany can warn a nearby ash tree about a bark beetle attack, and the ash tree begins to produce special substances that make its leaves unpleasant for insects. The same thing happens if a tree is stressed by drought or disease. The signal is transmitted through the underground network, as if the forest were whispering to itself. Some trees even sacrifice some of their nutrients to neighbours that are weakened in order to support the ecosystem. Can you imagine? Entire forests function as a living organism, where trees help each other and warn each other of danger. To us, it's almost like magic, but it's science. We are moving into the desert. Where you think there is complete silence, the sand can make sounds. They call this phenomenon singing sand. When the wind blows across the dunes or when someone walks on the sand, it begins to hum like an organ or a low drumbeat. Scientists argue about the mechanism behind this phenomenon. Some believe that the sound is caused by friction between the grains of sand. Others think that vibrations in the air between layers of sand create a resonance that we hear as a melody. In the Sahara, Namib, and Atacama deserts, people have reported that the sand can sing for several minutes if the wind is strong enough. Imagine walking across a dune at dawn, and the sand beneath your feet begins to play its low notes, the music of nature that cannot be heard anywhere else. The sensation is both mesmerizing and frightening. Now, for something a little creepy. In some parts of the world, it rains living creatures. Yes, you heard right. Rain with fish, frogs, and insects. This phenomenon is called animal rain and is extremely rare. It is caused by strong storms or tornadoes that lift small animals from bodies of water into the atmosphere, where they then fall back to earth with the rain. In Honduras, there have been cases where people have literally collected fish from the streets after a rainstorm. In Bangladesh, it sometimes rains frogs, and in Australia, grasshoppers. This phenomenon is not only strange, it is almost mystical. You look at ordinary rain and suddenly realize that nature is playing a joke on you. People who have experienced this describe a mixture of shock and awe. And the most amazing thing is that this is a completely natural phenomenon, not magic, not a legend, but the reality of our planet. There are amazing places where water seems to flow uphill. An optical illusion? Yes, but so powerful that the brain refuses to believe its eyes. One such case is Mokhihan in India, where the river rises on a slight slope. To tourists, it looks like magic. The water seems to defy the laws of physics. The mechanism is simple. The combination of the slope of the terrain and visual perspective creates an illusion. But when scientists study this area, they see that the water is still flowing down. It's just that your eyes are deceiving you. But the impression remains for a lifetime. You stand on the shore and think that nature is capable of miracles that cannot be explained at first glance. In cold regions of the Earth, when the temperature drops below -15 degrees, ice crystals with amazing symmetry form. They are so perfect that it seems as if someone carved them by hand. But in fact, this is pure coincidence. Each crystal is a unique structure that forms under the influence of temperature, humidity, and pressure. Sometimes they form entire ice forests on the surfaces of water bodies. Scientists cannot fully explain why some crystals form perfect hexagons, while others form chaotic shapes. To the observer, it looks like a small architectural puzzle of nature that makes you think about perfection and chaos at the same time. Some animals have the ability to sense earthquakes and storms. Elephants, cats, dogs, cows, and even birds change their behavior hours, sometimes days, before a disaster. For example, before a strong earthquake, elephants begin to panic and change their migration route. Cats may hide, and dogs may become nervous. Scientists suggest that animals sense micro-vibrations in the soil, changes in the magnetic field, or sounds that we cannot hear. This is yet another example of how our world is full of mysteries and we only perceive it partially. Sometimes it seems that animals know things that are inaccessible to us. There are islands in the ocean that appear and disappear. This is not a myth, but reality. The reasons for this are volcanic activity, movement of the seabed, and erosion. Some islands in the Pacific Ocean appeared on maps for decades, then disappeared without a trace. For sailors, this has always been a source of legends. Ghost islands that appear only at high tide or after a volcanic eruption. This is a reminder of how dynamic and unpredictable our planet is. Some plants have learned to trick insects. They change their colour, shape, or smell to attract pollinators or scare off predators. For example, orchids can pretend to be female insects. Males come to mate and accidentally transfer pollen. This is an ingenious trick that has evolved over millions of years. Nature uses deception as a survival strategy, and sometimes it seems that plants are smarter than we think. The myths of ancient civilizations often mention rivers of milk and honey. This is not just a legend, there are geological and chemical explanations. In some rivers with rich plant foam, the water takes on a white colour, thick texture, and sweet aroma from decomposing plants. Perhaps these natural phenomena inspired the myths that have come down to us through the millennia. Sometimes reality turns out to be stranger and more beautiful than fiction. Corals emit sounds that help marine creatures navigate. These signals are inaudible to the human ear, but they are vital to fish and other animals. The voice of corals forms underwater communities, where every sound matters. This is yet another example of how nature uses methods of communication that we can barely imagine. The world around us is full of wonders, and we see only a small part of it. Every tree, every grain of sand, every island or coral reef holds a secret that can surprise, frighten, or inspire us. If you enjoyed this journey, subscribe and turn on notifications. There are even more stories ahead about a world that seems familiar but actually hides incredible wonders.